Afghanistan has been unstable for decades with rival armed groups vying for control. In 1979, there was a revolution in Afghanistan and the communist government comes in power. Lots of people in Afghanistan wanted to follow the same old culture and tradition that they were following for ages. As there was a communist government, Soviet Union or Russia has a full support to a newly formed communist government. So, there was a fight in which Soviet and Afghani government were on one side and on the other side there were people who want an old rule and were against this government, who were known as Mujahideen. In 1979, the Soviet Union invades Afghanistan to support the newly formed communist government in Afghanistan. In 1980, Soviet troops set up a puppet regime in Kabul, in Afghan capital. The US, Pakistan, China, Iran and Saudi Arabia offered support to anti-communist Muslim Afghan fighters known as Mujahideen who opposed the Soviet occupation of Afghanistan. Around 1989, the Soviet withdraws after 15,000 soldiers die in the conflict. Lots of Arab people joined Mujahideen during this time. Osama bin Laden was one of them as well. Mujahideen had money, weapons, power and support. From 1989 to 1996, there is a civil war in Afghanistan between the government of Afghanistan and Mujahideen. Mujahideen were all supported by US around that time. This is a famous picture of American President Ronald Reagan with Mujahideen. In 1992, Mujahideen forces led by Ahmad Shah Massoud removed the Soviet-backed government of Muhammad Nazibullah. These Mujahideen forces were divided among themselves and created their own groups and tried to take total power, and the civil war again started. The Taliban emerged in 1994 as one of the prominent factions in the Afghan civil war. In September 1994, Mullah Muhammad Omar, a Muslim with 50 students, founded the Taliban group. In Arabic, Talib means students. They refer to themselves as the Islamic Emirates of Afghanistan or IEA, are a Sunni Islamic fundamentalist political movement and military organization in Afghanistan. The main aim of this group was to appoint the Islamic law and to get rid of Mujahideen warlords and criminals of Afghanistan. Within months, 15,000 students, mostly Afghan refugees, joined this group. Slowly, they start to capture many different areas of Afghanistan. Till January 1995, Taliban controlled 12 Afghan provinces. Talibans were popular because they were fighting against corruption. Militants controlling different areas often surrenders without any fight. From 1996 to 2001, the Taliban held power over roughly 3/4 of Afghanistan and enforced a strict interpretation of Sharia or Islamic law. In 1996, the Taliban takes Kabul and hangs former President Muhammad Nazibullah and established Islamic Emirates of Afghanistan. Now, the whole Afghanistan is controlled by Taliban. During this Taliban rule, all the women were stripped of all human rights. Taliban banned women from workforce and women were banned studying at schools, universities, or other educational institutions. There was a complete ban on women's activity outside the home unless accompanied by close males like father, husband, or brother. Women were required to wear burqa, which covers them from head to toe. Public stoning of women who is accused of having sex outside marriage were legal. Women were not allowed to use any cosmetics, and many women with painted nails have had fingers cut off. Women were not allowed to laugh loudly. There was a ban of women wearing high heels which would produce sound while walking, as men must not hear a woman's footstep. There was a ban of photographing or filming of women. Females whose ankles are visible would be whipped in public. Women may not be treated by any male doctors. During this time, Afghanistan was considered one of the worst places on earth to be born as a woman. Taliban bans the use of internet, playing cards, computer desks, movies, satellite TV, musical instruments, and chessboard after declaring they were against Islamic law. There was a discriminatory attitude towards non-Muslims, such as destruction of Buddha of Bamiyan statue. Religious minorities are ordered to wear tags identifying them as non-Muslims. Hindu women were required to veil themselves like other Afghan women. More significant was the fact that Taliban allowed Afghanistan to have a haven for Islamic militants from throughout the world, including an exiled Saudi Arabian, Osama bin Laden, who, as a leader of Al-Qaeda, stood accused of organizing numerous terrorist attacks against American interests. In 1996, Osama bin Laden comes to Afghanistan. In 2001, after September 11 attack by Osama bin Laden on 20th September 2001, US President George W. Bush calls on the Taliban to hand over Osama bin Laden and all other Al-Qaeda leaders, close its territories, training camps, or face the consequences. September 24, 2001, the Taliban calls for a jihad against the US if its force enters Afghanistan. The Taliban's refusal to extradite bin Laden to the United States following the attacks on the World Trade Center in New York City and on the Pentagon outside Washington, D.C. on September 11, 2001, prompted a military confrontation with the United States and Allied power. On October 7, 2001, less than 1 month after the September 11 attack, the United States of America, aided by UK, Canada, and NATO alliance, initiated military action bombing Taliban and Al-Qaeda related camps. The stated intent of military operation was to remove the Taliban from the power and prevent the use of Afghanistan land as a terrorist-based operation. The Taliban was subsequently driven from power. America got success in pushing Taliban back, but they are not completely gone. Around 90% of the world's opium comes from Afghanistan, and most of it is destined for the illegal market like drugs and heroin, from which Taliban is getting money from. The Taliban has taken control of mining sites and extorted money from ongoing legal and illegal mining operations. Several Taliban and Al-Qaeda commanders ran a network of human trafficking, abducting women and selling them into sex slavery in Afghanistan and Pakistan. The Taliban and United States began meeting in 2018 with the help of Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, and the United Arab Emirates, only countries to have diplomatic relationship with both parties. In February 2020, the United States and Taliban signed an agreement for peace after more than 18 years of fight. The agreement includes a significant withdrawal of US troops from Afghanistan and guarantees that the Taliban will not provide a safe place for terrorists. That's it for Taliban. Thank you.